It's September 10th, and tomorrow is the opening day of Archery Bull. And I get the pleasure of joining a couple guys on their hunts. My father-in-law and another buddy from work. And we're all packed up and headed out of town. And so, from what it sounds like, it is hot and dry up there. And but there's still some bulls out that are starting to bugle and rut a little bit. So we are headed up there. We are going to meet up with a buddy tonight. It's going to take us to one spot that he's seen a nice bull, and then opening morning tomorrow morning. So stay tuned, and hopefully we'll get some good elk rut action up in the northern Arizona. I made the drive up to Show Low and met up with my father-in-law who had the tag, his friend, and then also another buddy that's from that area who's a cattle rancher. He knows this area better than anybody I've ever met. He's been ranching there as well as hunting there for the last 30 years. Ironically, we get into our very first spot, literally pull in, and as he's closing the gate, we look across into the cedars and there's already a herd of elk right off the road. We drive up a little bit and you can see these elk run across the road, and there was a nice 6x6 in there with them. Over the course of the evening, we checked multiple different areas, and Ethan kind of just showed us around the unit. We saw tons of mule deer, and at one point we drove up onto this stock tank that was about 100 yards off the side of the road, and sure enough, two bulls were sitting in that, both probably about 300 to 320 inch bulls, and they spooked out of there. All right, day one of scouting is about wrapped up, and we just chased off two bulls out of this water right here. You can actually see where this water, almost like a water trail, as he ran out of here. So we headed back that night around dark, and I think we were all pretty pumped after seeing what we had seen, and just ready for this hunt to start. All right, good morning. Opening day, 4:45 a.m. of elk season, September 11th. It is a crisp and still morning right now. I think it's 42 degrees out, and we're about 15 minutes from our area, just grabbing some gas at the Maverick, and then we will be headed out. So, here we go, game time. That morning, we started at first light on a particular glassing point that looked over a stretch of some private land that we had access to hunt. There was a big open meadow with a water tank up towards the top of it, and these elk were moving in and out of this area. Unfortunately, we didn't see any elk there in that morning. Probably about 7:30 in the morning, we stopped the truck, kind of walked to the edge of this meadow, and we heard our first bugle. And if you've ever been on an early archery bull hunt, you know how electrifying that can be to hear your first bugle. So we ended up trying to go after this bull. He was obviously, anywhere from 500 to 1,000 yards away. And we started working through the cedars towards him. We got to a particular point where we could look probably about 400 yards down a draw, and we started picking up elk through the trees. Hey, come here, come here. So after spotting this bull, the hunt was on. We decided to work down this draw, and it seemed like they were moving up and into this thick patch of cedars, so we tried to cut them off. We got down to a point where we had a little bit of visibility, probably about 50 or 60 yards ahead of us, and it seemed like the bull was within 100 yards. But unfortunately, we ended up bumping one of his cows, and he hung up. And so Ethan ended up making a circle around, trying to maybe get behind this bull and bump him towards us. But unfortunately, we never saw that bull again. Elk sign all over this place. It's nice for up. From that point, we got back to the truck, and there was another spot that we wanted to check that was completely on the other opposite end of the unit. So we made our way all the way over there, and on the way we saw a really nice antelope buck off the side of the road. So we stopped real quick and got a little bit of footage of that. To tell you a little bit about this guy that was hunting with us, Ethan. Ethan had no shame in telling other people about some of the areas that he was hunting and the animals he was hunting. And he had a particular story. He had been on an antelope hunt with a guy that he had never met before, and apparently this guy approached him at a gas station and said, "Hey, I think I know you." Maybe that was strategic, I don't know, but Ethan said, "No, I don't think we've ever met." And this man ended up discussing that he was on an antelope hunt. and didn't know the area very well. And so Ethan proceeded to guide this guy over the next several days on this antelope hunt, free of charge, without anything in return, just specifically so that he could help this person out. So that's who we were hunting with during this trip. So we got up to this other property we were going to look at, and there was a couple of ranchers that said that they had seen a group of bulls in this particular patch of cedars multiple times. We got up there, we didn't see anything, but we were on our way out and we get a call from the rancher, and he had just gone to check a water tank, and surprisingly he ended up picking up about a 350 class bull with about 30 cows. So we went over there, took a look at him, and once again the chase was on.
Yeah, through the bush right now. Last to the last. There he is right here, John. Yeah, that's him.
Unfortunately, we only got to about 1,000 yards before these elk made their way into the cedars, and it was just a bad spot for a stalk. It was about lunchtime, so we decided to cut our losses, stop there, and maybe hunt these elk again another day. So we headed into town for some lunch. The rest of that evening, we went down to the first bit of property that we had initially glassed at first light, and so there's a water tank at the end of this meadow, and it had been leaking, and there was a nice wallow and some rubs all through that area. So we decided we'd just sit there and watch it that night. Unfortunately, we didn't see any elk, but it was just gorgeous. So the next morning, we got up and we were pumped. We'd had some action the first day. We knew it was just going to get progressively better. I got to do my intro video for day 2. You want to be on it, John? Good morning. 5 a.m. day 2. Gassing up at the Maverick in Sholo. And we're heading out to our area. We had a super successful day yesterday, but no bulls on the ground, but that's all right. Got plenty of time. We will see what happens today, going to a different area. So, see if they're talking out there. Stay tuned. Day 2. Following some vehicles. Unfortunately, I think day 2, the theme of day 2 was more the other animals in the area other than the elk. We did get on a few bugles early in the morning, but unfortunately they eluded us, and they stopped bugling probably around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. This was a very low-key rut when it came to the rut action early in this hunt. It was dry, it was hot, and the elk just were not in full rutting form yet. But this day we checked several different spots, and we just tried to see as much country as we possibly could. I'd say the highlight for day 2 was probably the mule deer that we saw before it got dark on us. Just a gorgeous classic 4x4, probably 160, 170 class in his velvet, and he gave us a good pose for us. That is the footage I have for the first 2 days of elk hunting, 2020. We had an absolute blast. Saw tons of animals. Now, a little spoiler alert, John shoots one the next week. And so I've got a little bit of footage of that. However, if you want to see that, you're gonna have to stay tuned for the next video. Because after the first 2 days, I jumped ship and joined my buddy in a different unit that's nearby. And we end up having just an action-packed day and a half of more elk footage, and just have a really good time. So that is coming to you hopefully in the next couple weeks once I get it edited. I've got to go eat some breakfast. Little quail and eggs for breakfast. What do you think? Never had that before. What should I do? Burrito? I don't know. Peace.